Hello and welcome back to the channel. Today we're looking at the advanced tuning menu on the Fanatec GT DD Pro when it's connected to the wheelbase on the PS5. These are the settings I personally use, and I'll explain what each one does and how it feels in game, and give you some tips for F125, GT7, ACC and even EA WRC. These are just my opinions from experience. Treat them as a starting point and then tweak to your own style. Let's get into it. First up, we have sensitivity. SEN controls how far the wheel can rotate. For me, I always try to match it to the real world car because it makes the in-game steering wheel line up perfectly with my movements. For example, in F125 I use 360 degrees rotation, which feels spot on for an F1 car. In GT7, because you drive such a wide range of cars, from road cars to race cars, I think it's best just to leave this on auto. That way it automatically adjusts to each car and you don't have to keep changing it every time you swap vehicles. If you're not sure, auto is the easiest way to go. Force feedback, or FFB, controls how strong the motor pushes back. I personally always leave this at 100% on the wheel. If it does feel too strong, instead of lowering it here, I reduce the strength of the in-game settings. That way you keep all the detail from the motor and you just fine-tune the overall strength in-game. In my opinion, this is the best way to run it. Force feedback scaling, or FFS, this changes how the force is delivered. I always run peak because it gives you the full torque spikes, which makes the wheel feel alive over curbs and bumps. Linear holds a lower level of torque, but in my opinion it makes things feel a little bit flat, so I'd always recommend sticking to peak. Natural damper, or NDP, adds resistance to the steering wheel, which helps if your wheel starts oscillating. For example, in ACC I had issues where the wheel shook down the straights, and raising the NDP helped calm it down. I wouldn't go higher than 50 though, because in my opinion you start losing detail and the wheel just feels far too heavy. But on the flip side, in EA's WRC, I actually prefer running NDP off completely. With no dampening, the wheel feels alive in your hands, and I find I can change direction much easier without fighting the wheel. It gives me way more control, especially on all the tricky rally stages. NDP is one of the most important settings to get right, so take some time to really find what works best for you in all the different games. Luckily, Fanatec allow you to save up to 5 different profiles, so if, like me, an NDP is the one that you change the most, you can have the different setting value for each of the different profiles you need for each game you play. Natural friction, or NFR, simulates resistance in the steering wheel, almost like mechanical drag. A higher number makes the wheel feel heavier, like cars without power steering. Personally, I keep this pretty low, because too much just makes the wheel feel heavy without adding much detail. If you like that little bit of weighty feel, you might raise it a little bit, but for me, lighter feels better. Natural inertia, or NIN, adds extra momentum to the wheel, giving it more of a flywheel effect. In my opinion, I find it better with this setting off, because it makes the steering feel cleaner and more direct. Interpolation, or INT, this is actually a really important one. INT smooths out the force feedback signal coming from the game. If it's set too low, the feedback feels grainy. Too high, and all the detail is smoothed out and lost. I always try to keep this as low as possible, usually around 5, but it does come down to personal feeling. You might need to adjust it depending on the game and what feels right for you. FOR, SPR, DPR. These are extra modifiers, but honestly, most modern PS5 games don't really use them that much. I just leave them all at 100 so the game does the work. If you lower them, you might lose effects, and if you raise them too much, you can overload the motor. So for me, a 100 across the board works fine. Brake level indicator, or BLI, this sets when your pedals vibrate under braking. On PS5 though, my pedals don't have the vibration, so I just leave this setting alone. If you do have vibration pedals, You could set it so they rumble at say 95% brake pressure, but personally I don't use it. Shock or SOH controls the vibration strength in the wheel and pedals. On PS5 it's basically on or off. Brake force or BRF, this adjusts how much pressure you need on your load cell brake to hit 100% in game. Now this is one of those settings that really depends on your setup. If you're using a chair and desk setup, I'd recommend lowering it so you can reach 100% brake without sliding around. But if you've got a proper rig with a solid pedal deck, you can run this value much higher and really stomp on that pedal. Personally, I run mine at around 60% because it feels natural to me, but again, this is all very personal preference. It depends on your setup and what feels comfortable for you. And that's my full advanced tuning menu guide for the Fanatec GT DD Pro on PS5. These are settings I use across F125, GT7, ACC and EA WRC, and they've always worked well for me. But remember, these are just my opinions. Use them as a baseline, tweak them to your own style and find what feels right for you. If this helped, drop a like, subscribe and support to the channel. I'll see you for some more sim racing content.